Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Daniel. I am the director of the Center for Somatic Development and the author of this book, Awaken to Your True Self, Why You're Still Stuck and How to Break Through. What we're going to be doing today is a somatic meditation. And these somatic meditation classes and practices are a free entry level approach to the main modality that I use called cinesomatics. What's cinesomatics? Cinesomatics is a leading edge, very advanced transformational therapeutic modality where we use video, cinema, and the body, somatics, to help you discover and heal and transform the unconscious patterns, archetypes, stories, mythologies, blocks, neural pathways that are running your life. Did you say this would also be on your YouTube? Yes. Yes, so the full replay will be on my YouTube's clips and replays channel. I have two of them, my main one, and then my clips and replays. Yep. And all the past ones are there too. So if you like this, please go and check that out, Andrew Daniel Clips on YouTube, and you can watch, I don't know, there's maybe about, I think 6 or 8 or so by now. And as we keep doing this, it'll just be a bunch. So you can go back. They are delineated and sectioned out, so you can go right to the meditation, or you can listen to the Q&As and discussions. So they're really great. We also have a community based around my book and this material. So if that's interesting to you, which it may be more at the end of this once we get into the Q&A, that's something worth checking out too. So cinesomatics is a way to see through the mind, through the ego, through all of the ways that we manage our image and energy field to discover the truth. And rather than talking about it for 5 years, in about 5 minutes, we can see exactly what's going on in your life, about how much money you're making, what your career's like, what's going on with your health, what's going on in your relationships, in your life. We can see everything that's going on. And the cool part is it's on video. So you're able to see this for yourself. You're able to get a reflection, a still pond without rippling water, without muddy water, to help you see the truth of what's going on for you. So very confronting and also very powerful. What we're doing today in these calls is somatic meditation. And it's based on the same philosophy as cinesomatics, but we're not going into the video or the feedback or anything like that. Instead, we are using the body and feeling to get out of the head, to stop thinking, and show up in life. And these somatic meditations are different than traditional meditations in that rather than using the mind to stop the mind, rather than trying to think more to stop thinking, we're skipping all of that approach and going straight to feeling in the body. So by default, if you start feeling, if you're in your body more, you will be less in your head. Why do we want to be less in our head? Well, if you haven't already experienced this in your life, what overthinking and analyzing and anxiety and worry and stress, all of those things that happen by being in your head a lot. Another thing that happens is that you don't have the same access to intuition. Intuition comes through feeling. It doesn't come through heady, mental, left brain logic and reason. They can work together, and it's a wonderful partnership. But being able to access that intuition comes from the field. It comes from something beyond just a computer in our head. It comes through feeling. You also don't have to worry about listening to what people are saying, the specific words, to get hung up on the specific words, latching onto those. You don't have to debate in your head whether you can trust somebody or not. You can see somebody and meet somebody and not have to go into all this crazy stuff and fear, because through feeling, you can read people. You can feel people. You know exactly what's going on. You can feel their intentions, and it's nothing you can explain rationally. So these are just a few of the many, many, many benefits of living life through the body. Anxiety goes down. It feels like you're showing up in life rather than looking at one of these and your life is passing you by, like you're watching a movie, feeling that dissociated, disconnected aspect. A lot of people are experiencing these days. So there's a lot of benefits that come from getting out of our head and into our body. Now, it doesn't mean in our life we stop thinking. You have to think. Thinking's really important. You think through things. You problem solve through things. But it is not the only way through life. Every single client that I've worked with, including myself, every single one, and that is hundreds and hundreds, every single one, their life has improved in the long run by living through feeling, through their body. Now, in the short term, it may seem worse because you're actually faced with all of the shadow material. You're faced with the trauma. You're faced with all of that stuff that we get to avoid and run from by being in our head. So in the beginning, a lot of people don't like it because it forces you. It's a choice, so it's not real force. But by getting in your body, embodiment forces you to feel. Now, you can look down into your body without feeling, but you're just up here looking down at your body. You're not down here in the body, feeling around. You understand that difference? So, being in the body at first can be very disorienting after living a life in our head, trying to solve everything through thoughts and thinking. And one of the things that I found to be missing and a failure of a lot of these mindful and meditation practices is really interesting. All right, so I want you to imagine 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Okay, we didn't have these. What were we doing instead of what we're doing here? We were hunting, fishing, doing crops, managing the house, building things, out in the world. We were physical in our body every day. We had to be. All right? So for hundreds of thousands of years, we were in our body. There were very few things that could purposefully take us out of our body into our head. Now, there's maybe psychedelics or mystical experiences that maybe feel out of body. But what I'm talking about is not having all of this digital stimulation, TVs, radios, all of this external, non-physical ways of being. So in the teachings, very, very, very few of the modalities and teachings around mindfulness and meditations that come from the past talk about being in the body. And I had this realization because it was like, oh, that's why they talk about the universe being the mind and the mind stuff, all of these kind of things. It was a different meaning slightly than we have nowadays. Because most people were in their bodies. Most people were in their bodies from trying to survive and exist and live. And so in these teachings, very, very few of them talk about how to get out of our head and into our bodies. Even a lot of yoga assumes you're already in your body. Not all of it, but there's a good portion of ancient teachings, most of it, that doesn't even address a life where you're living in your head dissociated and not in your body. Because if that would have happened 200 years ago backward, you would be dead. You would get eaten by a tiger. A bear would get you. You would slip and fall, and I don't know, bad things would happen. Even 100 years ago in machinery, if you were in your head on the farm and the factories and you weren't feeling in your body aware of yourself and what's going on, it would be very dangerous. So the somatic meditation practice and cinesomatics in general is a modern solution to a modern issue, or a modern epidemic, really. So using these same ancient principles through the mystery school teachings, through ageless wisdom, through psychology, embodiment, movement, philosophy, spirituality, mysticism, through all of those things, we take those principles and make them tangible for you. So a somatic meditation practice is the doorway into a brand new way of relating to yourself in life, symbolically through feeling-based awareness, in the present, in the now, in relationship to emotion and life and the energy that's flowing through everything, rather than being a dissociated ego in the head, judging and assessing everything around you. Is this all making sense? Either everybody left or your wonderful listeners. Leave me a comment just to make, all right, you're there. Great. Good. Perfect. Thanks. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is a somatic meditation. And so how this is going to work is I'm going to give a little more detail here on what we're going to be doing. We are going to take a few breaths. I'm going to be giving you a guided meditation here. At the end, we will close with 3 breaths, and then we will move into Q&A and discussion. What I've noticed here in the past few months of doing this is that most of the gold is found in the Q&As and discussions afterwards. That's where everybody's sharing, and I'm explaining what it means. I try to do as little as that as possible in the meditation, just so you can have the experience. You don't have to figure it out, give it meaning, understand anything, fix anything, do anything with it. We can explore all of that after the meditation. So if you stick around for that, there's a lot of value from everybody sharing. But if you can't, that's okay. All right, so let's take a look at some of these ideas. We have overthinking, no vision, health decisions, transitions gracefully, loss of purpose, grief, anxiety, dysregulation, loss of direction, no vision, focus, loneliness, grief, fear, difficulty with chronic pain, physical pain. All right, I'm just going to take a minute and feel into this. Okay. Let's there's some people here in pain. Okay, so physical pain and emotional pain. All right. So let's do that today. If you're not in any pain, um that's wonderful. I'm not in any pain. Um so let's see here. If you're if you're not in any physical pain or emotional pain, just feel into it and go along with it. We'll see what happens. I'm coming up with this on the spot here. Okay, so if you're not in any pain, you can also just use discomfort in general. You can use discomfort in your life or in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. Um, all right, let's play with this. If you have physical or emotional pain, that's probably obvious what it is you're going to be working on. But if there's something else uncomfortable in your life that can show up in the body, see if you can bring that to your attention. So some people said loneliness, some people said vision. Right, your vision can be in your eyes. Right, so maybe you can feel into your eyes, your loneliness. See where you're relating to loneliness in your body. Okay, you might have chronic illness and symptoms. All right, so remember, this is a somatic meditation. This isn't any sort of medical miracle stuff going on. But we'll see if we can help you get into relationship with these things in your body. All right? Um, I can help with this stuff privately, but that requires me being able to see you and interface with you. But we'll see what we can do. We'll see what comes up here. All right? All right, so let's take our 3 breaths. We're going to be going in with the nose, holding, and then out with the mouth. I often like to start before we get into the specific thing to just ground and center here. There's nothing mystical or magical about this. We're just going to bring our awareness down and down and down. So feel your head, your face, just bring your awareness and feeling sensation. Your face, your ears, your neck, your shoulders. If you need to wiggle these areas a little bit, that helps. If you want to tap these areas, rub them. This all helps to bring your awareness, to bring the energy, to bring your attention into these areas. Bring them back online. So let's do this. Let's just have you tap or touch or rub, massage, just the different parts of your body. And as you do that, just bring your attention. See if you can turn it on What I mean by turning it on is that you can feel the energy in it. Now, if you're not sensitive to energy, and that sounds silly, what I do is just feel like I can feel the cells. Like, that sounds less crazy, right? But just see if you can, like, feel. Like, imagine as you feel out into the world with your hands, you're doing that with your skin in the different parts of your body. So I'm looking at the back of my hands, and I'm trying internally to bring my awareness to it. Can I feel this right here? Now, if I can't do it without touching it, I can tap it. I don't know why I have to tilt my head sideways. Maybe I'm listening to it. So just these light touches can bring your awareness. And then you stop. Can you maintain that awareness? Now, obviously, it's not going to feel the same, right? You're not activating those. But we want to turn our entire body on. And as our body gets turned on and activated, I don't mean aroused sexually, but aroused energetically, right? Just activated. Just, instead of your hand being shut down and dead, turn it on. Have the energy moving through it. Have life force coming through it. Okay? And it can take a while. It took me years. So if this sounds wacky, but there's something to it that you feel is there, just keep showing up. It took me a long time as somebody who was a programmer and a writer in my head. So just tap, just go through. I'm just doing my hands because these are what feels like for me I need to turn back on. Just go through your whole body. We're just going to spend a few minutes just tapping, rubbing your whole body. Nothing's taboo. If it is taboo, it tells you you got something going on there. Your whole body. Everywhere. Can you feel it all? Your legs. Back of your knees. Back of your arms. Here in your neck. See if you can find the parts of your body that you don't touch. This is really good. Let's start with this. So when we are talking about illness and disease, almost always there is something going on energetically, emotionally. Unless, well, even if it's toxins, because then you can look at your diet. And then there's whole world views, there's whole mythologies that run us around our food, right? We can emotionally eat. We can abuse ourselves and just have food and body image issues. There's all of these things that can happen that also deal with our environment, right? Maybe we have cancer because of being around some highly toxic chemical. Well, why were we around that? Well, maybe while that was happening, there was abuse, or maybe we were in scarcity, and so there's this scarcity pattern around that toxic chemical or whatever it is. So it's not always, right? We're holistic. Mental, emotional, physical, and energetic and spiritual. But oftentimes, around things that keep occurring, it's more than meets the eye, right? Because if literally just a pill fixed everything, we would be the healthiest nation rather than one of the sickest, right? You guys know this. You're here meditating, so preaching to the choir. But one of the things that people don't realize is that there's these emotional and energetic patterns and stories and myths and archetypes that run us in the body. And if those are dysfunctional, if those are out of our awareness, if they're unconscious, they can lead to sickness, to disease, to pain, to suffering, to poverty, to scarcity, to trauma, to a lot of stuff. Everything, really, that has to do with worldviews and perspectives and mindsets and emotions and traumas and things like that. Literally, we've had people where you can see how much money they make, and by changing the way they show up in their body, they can make more money. So this stuff is very, very, very powerful. So hopefully you've been touching and patting and feeling your body as I've been talking. And you can begin to wrap that up and bring your attention down to your feet. Feel the earth, feel the bottom of your feet. So this is a good practice just to do. Like if you just took what we just did here and practiced that every day, you would show up in the world very differently. It may take some time, but that practice alone, just getting into relationship with your own body, is very helpful. So let's go into whatever discomfort, whatever illness or pain or whatever is going on. And remember, I'm not a medical doctor here. I'm just a different kind of healer. And we're going to just be doing somatic meditation on what's going on. So whatever you have in mind and body, I want you to find where this shows up in your body. And what we're going to do two parts here. And this may be very uncomfortable. So if this is too much, you are in charge of yourself. This is a one-way broadcast. I cannot facilitate you. I cannot manage you. So you're going to have to take care of yourself. It's not dangerous or anything, but we're going to be going into this stuff. All right? So I encourage you that if it's uncomfortable, that you keep going. If it's painful, that you stop. All right? We don't want pain, but discomfort is good. And mostly it's emotional, what I'm referring to, emotional discomfort. So you know your limits. You work within those. So find where this is, whatever is going on for you in the body. Now, the first step we're going to do is I want you to, inside your body, whether this is an emotion or physical thing, bring your attention into it. And I'm going to give you a few minutes here to do this yourself. I might pop in with some guidance, but this is going to be all inward. And what you're going to do is through feeling, do not think about this, do not analyze it. I want you through feeling to go into whatever that is. Find the location in your body. If it's in multiple locations, pick one. And so you keep doing this. You can tune me out. You can ignore me. But I'm just going to give some guidance as we go. What we're doing here is getting into relationship with what this is. So many of us want to avoid, want to get rid of, want to run away, want to dissociate, want to numb the pain, the discomfort. What we're going to be doing here instead is the opposite. We're going to go into it. And please keep in mind the disclaimer that I gave earlier. As you go into this, your intention is to penetrate whatever this is. Not to fix, not to solve, not to understand. You want to go deeper and deeper into it. Imagine a bubble, imagine a balloon, and you're going into it. Right? You have a balloon, and you're poking into the balloon, and what you're trying to do is to get inside, to penetrate into the balloon, into the bubble. And the invitation is to feel everything. Feel the pain, feel the grief, feel the loss, feel the loneliness, feel the sickness, feel the hopelessness, feel the despair. We spend so much of our life running from these things. And so they run us. Whatever you run from runs you. So remember, this is through intention and attention. You're not physically doing anything that could cause you discomfort or pain. This is all a still internal process. And notice any thoughts that come up, any memories, any voices, any judgments. Just notice. You do not have to do anything with any of it. Just say, oh, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that. Okay. And then keep going. So we're facing and going into rather than avoiding and running away from. For some of you that have experienced chronic lifetime things, this may be the hardest thing that you've ever done or you ever do. And that is okay. If it is too much, then stop and you'll have this replay and you can keep trying this again in the future. You go at your own pace. You know yourself. You trust yourself. You trust your body. And for many of us, that could be an important lesson in itself, of trusting ourselves, of finding our own authority. So much of the time we give our power away. We give our authority away to somebody in a white coat. So as I say in my book, it is not about feeling good. It's about feeling. We've been hoodwinked. We've been lied that the point of life is happiness. It's not. It's to feel everything. It's not just to eat candy every day. It's to experience everything of life. And if we have judgments about that, those judgments are going to keep us stuck. So this is a very light, may not feel light, but in the work that I do, this is very light way of starting to get into relationship with all of life. Feel free to tune me out while you do this. That's okay. Go into the emotion. Go into the story. Make sure you're looking down into your body. You're not up here in your head. That's a good key indicator. If you're up here with your eyes rolling in the back of your head up to the sky, it's not going to do it. You actually have to go down into your body. Feel. You are not broken. There's nothing to fix. You are already enough. You have everything you need already. You just might not realize it. You may have given it away. You are worthy. There's nothing you have to do to be lovable inherently. And if there's things that are making you socially unlovable, all you got to do is stop. Your lovability and worth is innate. Can you love yourself for whatever this is? Can you look at yourself with unconditional love for the lack of vision, for this disease, for the illness, for this pain, for this grief? Can you look upon your body with the eyes of love? Or do you hate yourself? Do you curse God? Do you curse your parents? Do you curse the pain, the issue? Feel through your relationship with this. There's nothing you have to do here. All we're doing is becoming aware. We're letting ourselves feel. Give yourself permission to finally, fully feel whatever is underneath this. If there's people around you and you feel self-conscious, make note of that you're using other people to hold yourself back. And that is okay. Redo this. You'll have the replay. Try this again in private. And find a time and a space for you to finally, fully let yourself feel and express and experience the pain, the agony, the grief, the sadness, the fear, the hopelessness, the loneliness, the loss. Don't think about it. Be in your body and feel it. You have to feel to heal. Let me say that again. In order to heal it, you have to feel it. You don't have to think about it. You have to feel it. That requires you to be in your body. What is your relationship with being in your body? If you have chronic pain, illness, disease, emotional distress, you're not going to want to be in your body. Unfortunately, it's going to make it worse because you don't have access to the place where you can heal it. I understand. I have great compassion why you don't want to be there. I wasn't there for decades of my life. But if you choose to heal, if you have a sincere desire to move forward, get unstuck, and to heal, it's going to require you to face these things inside of yourself, to tell the truth, and to feel completely. So I'm going to give you a few more minutes to wrap this up in whatever you are feeling into. And then we will close the meditation out. Make sure you're breathing. Just make note of the stories. What do you tell yourself? How do you justify? How do you explain? Where are you giving your power away? Where are you stuck in victim mentality? It's not about blame, it's about taking your power back so you can do something and heal. Remember, your body, your emotions, all of these things, they're on your side. They're you. There's a reason. Nothing happens for no reason. All right, a few more seconds here. Give yourself a little wiggle. Let's come back here. 3 breaths. Excellent. Well, this concludes the meditation part of our call. If you are just joining or you missed part of this, you can catch the full meditation at Andrew Daniel Clips on YouTube. I have a whole channel with the replays, clips. If you have time, please stick around because we will get into questions and answers and discussions. All right? All right, so maybe not what you were expecting, maybe not what you wanted, but that's what happened. What was your experience? Any questions? Please share your experiences in the chat. Seed says, hydrate, fresh air, movement. All those are wonderful things. Drink some water, do some movement outside. Sounds great to me. Hopefully I'm doing a lot of that this weekend, or at least some of it. All right. We got a lot of comments. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go through and read these. Holly says, I realize that I don't think I can keep myself safe. That is profound. That is worth the price of admission right there, Holly. Yeah. Great realization. It doesn't sound fun, it doesn't sound nice, but I'm so glad that you realize that. Because once you realize it, well, now you can do something about it. I see you have more comments, so we'll get to those later. Crystal says, uncomfortable really sitting with those sensations. Yep. Absolutely. This is not every somatic meditation. We do all sorts of stuff. We do movements with our hands, with our feet, with our body, with our hips. We interface with the space around us. So not all somatic meditations are necessarily going to be this confronting. This is probably going to be one of the most confronting somatic meditations that we can do. But it seemed like it could be helpful for people. So we did it. So if you partook and are still here and were sincere about it, it seems like a lot of people got a lot of things from it. So I know it's not necessarily fun. There's a lot more fun things to do, but it is an essential part of the healing journey. And so I respect and commend the courage and the willingness to sit with these very, very uncomfortable things. All right. Kim says, wonderful class. Thank you. You are welcome. Dara says, I have a question. How can you speak about your trauma without giving it power or having others believe you are stuck as a victim? Okay, so good stuff. Great question. A few things give you feedback on here, right? Without having others believe you are stuck as a victim. Okay, so there's something you have going on there with about what other people think, how you're being perceived, right? So there's a certain image. Your image doesn't want to be perceived as a victim. So that reveals something there. The other thing is, well, how do you do it? A lot of it is your intention. A lot of it is where you're actually at. Because you can use the words that make you, words that make you sound empowered. Oh, this is my fault. I'm handling it. And there are words that may seem disempowering to others, like negative, that you're down and sad, when you're really owning it. So it's really being honest with yourself about how you feel. Are you giving your power away? Are you blaming? So in my book, I have a whole chapter, and it's very potent. Nobody that actually has read the whole book, sincerely, said it was easy, light read. It's very confronting. So I have a chapter called The Victim Trap, where we talk about victim mentality, blame, the illusion of innocence, all of these kind of things. This is my book, Awaken to Your True Self. So in there, one of the defining elements is blame. So if you're talking about it and blaming, my parents beat me as a kid, and that's how I'm like this. So you can feel in there's a blame, there's not taking any responsibility, and there is no new choice. Okay, so let's say that differently. Well, my parents abused me as a child. I've learned to forgive them because their parents beat them and abused them, and that's all they knew. It does not excuse them, right? So they did horrible things to me. They are not excused from that. They are accountable to that. And I still have compassion for it. And I have boundaries. And I'm aware that happened. And that led me to this dysfunctional life that I have now. Well, I've also chosen ways to play a victim, to feel sorry for myself, to not stand up for myself. Now, I didn't know better, but now I know better. So that still affected me. They still abused me. It was still their responsibility. They're still accountable to it. That led me to where I'm at now. And I've been a victim in that time. And now I'm making a new choice. And I'm taking my power back and learning how to heal this and to not do this dysfunctional thing anymore. Right? So do you feel the difference? That was very wordy. You don't have to be as wordy to it. But can you feel the difference where you're acknowledging something happened to you? You're acknowledging your part of it. You're holding them accountable and responsible still. And you're holding yourself accountable and responsible for now what you're doing with it. Does that make sense? So there's an energy. The wording was just a way to explain it. But the energy behind it. Are you taking responsibility? If you are, you can talk about it and say, oh, okay. But if you're blaming it, saying, well, they did that to me and that's why I'm like that and screw them and my life sucks. That's still in that victim mentality. But also, what you don't want to do as well is, oh, my parents were just so wonderful. It's all my fault. If I was only a better child, they wouldn't have beaten me every day. That doesn't work either. So you see that there's accountability, responsibility, taking our power back, not blaming ourselves or other people. These are all components to talking about and moving through our trauma and our relationship with that victim mentality. Very confronting. Most people don't like to hear this, and most people don't like to talk about it. So if you want to dive into that, please check out the book, because I've gone through this. I had warts. I was bullied and teased as a kid. So I was near suicidal. So I spent a lot of my life in victim mentality, and it took a lot of healing, a lot of different modalities to really piece together all of those parts in all of the ways I was abandoning myself and giving my power away. Because there's a lot of shadow material in there that I didn't want to look at. Oh, there's a part of me that wanted to feel sorry for myself. I got attention. I got love because of that. Wow, that's insidious. That's kind of messed up. Okay, wow. But I had to do a lot of healing in order to get to a place where I could even see that, because I was just so caught in the pain and the trauma and in the abuse. All right, more questions. Dorina says, I felt some resistance when you said you are not broken. Great. Good awareness. You're not broken. So try it on. What happens if you take it on as true? Well, what happens is that you say, all right, I'm not broken. Yeah, well, what about this? This is broke. This doesn't work. What happens is that it forces you to look at all of those incongruencies. And then those incongruencies, you take note of all the places where you feel that you are broken. Great, now you have awareness of those. And then that's where the fun begins. Sarah says, that was pretty profound and impactful. Wow. Good. I'm glad you had a profound experience. Holly says, so trusting others doesn't even factor into possibility, right? Because you said earlier that you don't think you can keep yourself safe. Yeah. Yeah, great. That compounds, right? When we have these like core fundamental things, we don't even consider other possibilities, right? If we think the world is against me and it's hopeless and I'm never going to get ahead, we don't even think about starting a business. We don't even think about moving to a new place with greater opportunity. Right? Those things just don't even cross our mind. So in cinesomatics, what we do is have you do these movements. And through the movements, you get to see all of these subconscious worldviews that show up. And that shows you, because you get to see it in your own body on video, how you're actually seeing the world. And so when you get feedback and facilitation, you can have other people say, oh, wait a minute. You realize that you don't have to abandon yourself to help others, right? Like you're martyring self. What would it look like if you helped others without abandoning yourself? Oh my God. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you help other people without sacrificing yourself? Like it just doesn't even click for some people. And so it can be a huge, huge breakthrough. And then they're able to see that and in their own body form those new neural connections and practice those new neural pathways through the movement in the body. And then they go out and help people without abandoning themselves. So good awareness. He says, learn some self-soothing techniques. Seed Scent says, balance the body, balance the emotions. Carrie says, so many realizations, and I was able to stay with my body in pain versus run from it. Excellent. Running from it is my MO 100% of the time. What we run from runs us. Yeah. That's huge. That, Carrie, this could change your life. I really suggest you getting the book. It'll be very helpful. But that is such a profound thing. Running from things. If you just do the opposite of what you normally would do 100% of the time, I guarantee your life will look very different. And if it doesn't, I'll give you a full refund. Do the opposite. If what you're doing your whole life is only creating suffering, try doing it wrong. Try doing the opposite. See what happens. Start going into it. Start facing it. Start addressing it. Start confronting it. Those are probably all words that you don't like. I can guarantee you and promise you, it'll start changing your life. It will not be fun for a while, but eventually you'll start seeing, oh my gosh, I'm running from myself. I'm running from life. Okay, so here in the book, there is a chapter called The Avoidance of Life. This will change your life, Carrie. It changed mine and it changed thousands of people's. The avoidance of life. What you distrust in life, what you're avoiding, anxiety, living in a fantasy, facing. What you run from runs you. Let me just read this here. The heroic life moves us from the realm where all life is suffering to a realm where we become a vehicle that brings consciousness forth into the world. Like Hermes, we become a messenger for the gods, and like the philosopher's stone, we transmute lead into gold. In practical terms, we move humanity forward because of our journey. We begin to make our lives stand for something greater than our suffering. We do something about our situation or another's, rather than sitting around dwelling in misery. We move from the confines of our culture and upbringing and begin to wake up to something outside of the mundane. Something inside of us stirs. We get a nudge. We hear a whisper. We are called to leave our ordinary way of being with the attachments and comforts of everyday life and begin to show up more fully in the world. The avoidant life is a life of repression, and what is repressed is the fear of being who we really are and everything that requires of us. It is the constant denial of the call. We simultaneously yearn for the fullest expression of our true self and resent the quest to realize it. We look towards what we want, seeing the wasteland and dangers that lie ahead, and judge them. It appears hard, treacherous, impossible, and so we deem our truth not worth the risk. We turn away not only because of a lie, but towards a lie. A lie of ease, safety, and comfort. But how easy is a mundane, mediocre life full of suffering? How safe are avoidance and denial, really? How comfortable is the lack of peace and fulfillment, or the boredom, depression, and emptiness? The avoidant life seems like the easier path, and it may be, on the surface. You don't have to face the fears, put yourself out there to be rejected, endure the failures, tell the truth, take responsibility, make hard choices, or risk your life. The costs of what is lost, regretted, betrayed, abandoned, denied, and shunned by taking this path are not as obvious, yet are perhaps even greater in their price. Both are valid, and both will be a life that's exactly what you need. But only one is worthy of your divinity. Only one of these paths will lead to the treasures of this book. You cannot fully express or actualize yourself if you're avoiding life. You cannot awaken to your true self if you're avoiding life. You cannot get unstuck by avoiding life. These are not effortless things to actualize. You can't become enlightened or become a hero by getting a certificate. You must accept the call and make the choice. You must throw yourself into life and let it forge you. You must feel everything you're terrified to feel. You must face your mortality and take claim to each breath. Yes, it will ask of you more than anything else will. It will also offer more than anything else can. It's this path that enables us to share our gifts with the world and live fully expressed. So, there you go. That was a little reading from my book. I hope that had something inspiring for you in there. All right. I was inspired reading it. I was like, really? Yeah. So, thanks. That moves us. So, everything that we're all going through moves us all forward. Yeah. I was inspired reading that too. What am I avoiding? How do we show up, live that heroic life? As Joseph Campbell talks about the hero's journey. That can be your life. It's your choice. All right, let's see here. Getting through these comments, and then we're going to wrap up. Dropping into the body has been life-changing. How do you stay embodied? I personally have stayed embodied through my practice of cinesomatics. So just constantly getting feedback, doing movements, doing my practices, facilitating. I've spent years, like 5 years, hours sometimes every day, moving, finding, feeling, healing. It's a process. So, yeah. Good question, big answer. All right. Good. Thanks, Kate, for checking in. It's good to hear, Holly, you're all right. Yeah. Good. Yeah, the echoes. Yeah. So even sometimes we have to deal with the echoes over the years, over the times, where it's the repercussions, consequences of what happened. So it's great that you can, discern that, even if you feel like your life's threatened, it's not really. Crystal says, but how can you release it fully, especially when you've explored it, felt it, acknowledged it? You do mindfulness practice that you feel the same weight every day, deep nervous system, childhood kind of fight or flight, or this is like over that stays. Um, Great question. I'm biased, so full disclosure, I do something called cinesomatics. So that's what I work with. That's what's helped me get out of pretty much all this stuff. Um, what else? Yeah, there's you got to heal the trauma. It requires healing. So most of the time, for most people, just being aware of it and thinking about it every day isn't going to do the thing. Um, most people need facilitation. Um, so if you can find somebody that does somatic based practices, um, um, you can check out cinesomatics, see what I do, um, work with me, somebody else that does something similar. It's very different. So my approach is very, very different. But we actually have techniques. We use video movement. There's a whole process. Um, I find it very hard to just, for most people that are stuck in this stuff, to just sit there and just think their way out of it. So if you can find some kind of therapist, I prefer holistic stuff. I personally don't recommend any drugs, um, but if you can get facilitation, if you can get feedback that can help you see past and through your own box and what you've been doing, that's going to be helpful. Very few people that have chronically been stuck in these patterns for years or decades just get out on their own. You need help. And that's not derogatory. I try to do a lot of this myself, and I share my lessons in the book of the plateau I've reached. So you very may well have reached the limits of what mindfulness, meditation, and awareness can do for you. And so you might need to just upgrade and step up to a more potent form of therapy and healing. And they exist. So yeah, you wanna if you're going years and you're not feeling any difference, what you're doing isn't working. Um, I have people come in and their lives change in a session. They also realize they need a lot more work than they thought. But yeah, if you're not seeing practical, if you're not seeing and feeling practical healing and releases and changes in your life, then you got to find something more potent. And some people go to plant medicines, psychedelics, holistic therapies. There's a lot of stuff out there, somatic practices. So there are things that you can do. All right. Let's see here. Danny says, I don't know the answer to this. To release them fully is a big expectation, though. Embracing the pain, like you said, is the first step. Not hiding from them, not judging yourself for having these feelings is a big key. And then nurturing your inner child as the functioning adult. Yeah, those are really good insights. Thanks, Danny. Jesse says, I realize that I chose this human experience and my past doesn't define me. As I continue to learn better process to become my best self in every present moment. Thank you. You're welcome. Good awareness. Great insight. Thank you. You're welcome. Sarah says, thank you so much, Andrew. This here today has been really enlightening. I found lots of inspiration from this. I'll be exploring more. Great. You're welcome. I'm glad. T says, you definitely need a facilitator to assist. I agree. I also went through a couple of years without. I started somatics and other holistic stuff, and they were working better. Great. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely suggest something more alternative. If you've already been working with spiritual and emotional stuff, find somebody that works more in those realms. Yeah. most regular talk therapy or psychiatry, my own personal opinion, some people get some benefit. That's good for them. But when you're really looking at healing generational trauma, abuse, decades of dysfunctional patterns, you just need something more potent. Cinesomatics, you can take a look at that. It's not for beginners. It is a very advanced confronting process, but it works when nothing else does. And it got me out of being homeless twice, all sorts of stuff. So we're at the end of this. Hopefully that gives you some direction for you, Crystal. Great question, just a huge answer. Another great session. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, Jay. All right, so once again, my name is Andrew Daniel. I am the author of this book. I actually gave a little reading from this here, Awaken to Your True Self. And I am the director at the Center for Cinesomatic Development, where all of this theory, philosophy, and approach to healing, transformation, awakening, healing comes from. So if you enjoyed this, please follow me here on Insight Timer. I think we're going to be out next week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. If you want to join a community around my teachings and this book, you can go to my website, find a link to the school group. It's a free group. There's a free training there as well. And if you want to catch this replay and all the other replays, go to Andrew Daniel Clips on YouTube. That's my clips and replays channel where you can catch the full thing. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for your courage, your willingness to sit and go into these painful, uncomfortable things. And I hope it was helpful. See you in a few weeks.